It was supposed to be a quiet night. As I stood at the kitchen counter, the low hum of the refrigerator the only sound in the house, I watched Marcus fiddling with his phone. He never put it down. Even when we were supposed to be having dinner, his eyes were glued to the screen, fingers dancing across the glass. I used to think it was because he was busy with work. He was always the kind of guy who had his hands full with meetings, emails, and calls. He was the important type. So, I never questioned it until tonight. Babe, can I use your phone for a second? My battery's dying, I asked, smiling softly. He didn't look up, just handed me the phone without a word. I had no reason to suspect anything. It was just a phone, right? Nothing that would tear apart everything we had built. I unlocked it. The screen was full of notifications, but one caught my eye. A message from her. My heart skipped a beat. I read it. Can't wait to see you in person. Let's make tonight unforgettable. The blood drained from my face. I felt like the room was spinning, the walls closing in. It was as if time itself had stopped. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move, couldn't think. I had asked him for a phone, not to find out this. I looked up at Marcus. His eyes were on me now, and for the first time in years, I saw something flicker in his expression. Guilt, fear. Who is this? My voice was barely a whisper, but even in its quietness, it held the weight of everything I had ever believed in crumbling to dust. Marcus froze, panic spreading across his face. It's just a work thing. Don't lie to me. My voice cracked, but I didn't let the tears fall. Not yet. Not until I had the answers. I stood there, the phone still in my hand. His lover's words, baby, hot, can't wait, rang in my ears. The betrayal felt like a physical punch. He'd been lying to me. Behind every smile, every kiss, every I love you he had whispered in my ear, there had been her, someone else. But it didn't stop there. I scrolled up, my fingers moving on their own. Message after message, each one more damning than the last. Photos, secrets, plans. I felt the burning sting of rage boiling inside me, but I didn't speak. I just kept reading, each message a deeper cut. Finally, I stopped. The last message was a photo, a private one, a photo I couldn't unsee. I felt a chill run through me. Tell me the truth, Marcus. Who is she? I demanded, my voice cold now. The hurt was there, but there was something else now, something sharper. Something that made me feel like I was taking back control of a life that had been stolen from me. He ran a hand through his hair, his usual calm demeanor shattered. I didn't mean for it to happen, okay? It's just a mistake. You're the one I'm with. Don't you dare say it's a mistake. I cut him off, my anger growing. I wasn't the one who needed to apologize. He was. I turned away from him, walking toward the front door. I didn't even look back. All I knew was that I couldn't stay in that house with him anymore. But it was only the beginning. The truth wasn't the only thing that would change my life. The real challenge was what came next, the game of revenge, justice, and the price of betrayal. I didn't know where I was going, but I needed to get out of that house. The air felt too thick, too suffocating. I had always believed in love, the kind of love that was strong enough to survive anything, the kind of love that was built on trust, loyalty, and respect. But now, I was looking at it all from the outside, wondering how I could have been so blind. I pulled into the parking lot of a nearby bar, not caring about the time or the fact that I was dressed in my usual work clothes. I just needed a drink. I needed something to numb the aching hole in my chest. I walked in, the cold air from the bar hitting my face, the dim lights, the clink of glasses, the low hum of voices. It all felt like a distant world compared to the chaos I had just left behind. I slid into a booth, ordered a glass of wine, and leaned back, letting the warmth of the alcohol spread through me. As I sipped the drink, I found myself thinking back to the night Marcus had proposed. It had been a fairy tale moment. I had been so sure. We had been together for 3 years. I thought we had everything figured out: family, a home, a future. Now, I was questioning every word he'd ever said, every promise he'd made. And then there was Rachel. I didn't know her, but I knew enough to understand that she was the reason I was sitting here, drowning in confusion and anger. She was the one who had come between us. She was the one who had stolen what was supposed to be mine. And yet, there I was sitting in a bar alone, staring down the glass of wine like it held all the answers. As I sat there, my phone buzzed. It was a message from him, from Marcus. Can we talk? I don't want to lose you. I stared at the screen, my fingers hovering over the reply. I could hear his voice in my head. It was pleading, desperate, just like him. He had never thought I would leave. He'd never imagined that I might actually walk away from everything we'd built. But here I was, sitting alone, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was in control. I tapped out a message, my fingers moving quickly. Meet me tomorrow. I'll hear you out, but be prepared. I'm not the same woman you think I am. I hit send and sat back in the booth, the corners of my lips lifting slightly. For once, it felt good to have the power. For once, I wasn't at his mercy. Tomorrow would be the beginning of the end for him. The game of revenge had only just started, and I wasn't about to let him get away with what he'd done. The next day, I was ready to face Marcus, ready to take control of my life again. But as I prepared myself for the meeting, I knew there was one thing I hadn't anticipated, the unexpected twist that would change everything. The morning after my message, I woke up feeling strangely calm. The adrenaline from last night was still there, but it was different now. It wasn't fear or uncertainty. It was the calm before the storm, a quiet determination that I couldn't explain. Maybe it was the fact that I finally felt free, or maybe it was because I knew what was coming. But whatever it was, I was ready. I spent the morning getting ready, taking my time with my appearance. I didn't do it for Marcus or for anyone else. I did it for myself. I wanted to remind myself of who I was, who I used to be before everything got tangled up in lies and betrayal. I wore my favorite dress, the one that made me feel confident, powerful, and touchable. By the time I arrived at the cafe, I was in control. Marcus was already waiting. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, his face pale, eyes bloodshot. He stood as I approached, his nervous energy palpable. "Lauren," he began, his voice shaky. I didn't let him finish. "Sit down, Marcus." My tone was firm, cold. There was no warmth left for him. Not after what he had done. Not after everything. He sat across from me, and for a moment, neither of us spoke. The silence between us was thick, filled with the weight of everything that had happened. I could see the guilt on his face, the shame. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't nearly enough. "Why did you do it?" I asked, finally breaking the silence. My voice was calm, controlled, but there was a sharpness beneath it. "Why didn't you just leave me? If you didn't want me, why didn't you just tell me? Why drag me through this?" He swallowed hard, avoiding my gaze. "I don't know. I didn't mean for it to happen, Rachel. She was just someone I don't know how it started, but I didn't want to hurt you. I was stupid." "Stupid?" I repeated, leaning in slightly. "Stupid doesn't begin to cover it, Marcus. You betrayed me, and you've been lying to me, all while planning a future with me. You think stupid is enough of an explanation?" He looked like he wanted to argue, but I could see the guilt choking him. He didn't have an answer, not a good one anyway. I pulled the phone from my bag, sliding it across the table toward him. "Explain this." Marcus glanced at it, and his face immediately blanched. The photo was there, the one Rachel had sent him, the one I'd seen the night before. His betrayal, laid out in black and white. "I am sorry," he stammered, his voice breaking. "It wasn't like that. I never meant for you to find out." I felt the flicker of something, anger, heartbreak, and maybe even a touch of pity. But I didn't let it show. Instead, I just stared at him, my eyes cold, unwavering. "You think I'm going to forgive you just because you're sorry?" I asked, my voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "You think a sorry is enough to undo all of this?" I want to make things right," he whispered, his eyes pleading with me. "Please, Lauren, just give me a chance." I sat back, staring at him. His desperation was clear, but it didn't move me. Not anymore. All I could think about was the lie he had built around me. The trust I had given him, shattered in a single moment. "I don't think you understand, Marcus," I said quietly. "I'm not the woman you used to know. The woman who would forgive you just because you said the right words. I'm not that woman anymore." His face faltered. He opened his mouth to say something, but I stopped him. "I'm done," I said, my voice steady. "You've had your chance, Marcus, and now it's over." His face crumpled, the weight of my words sinking in. For the first time, I saw it, the realization that he had lost me, that I wasn't coming back. But I wasn't done yet, not by a long shot. As Marcus sat there, his world crumbling around him, I felt something shift inside me. This wasn't just about him. It was about me. It was about taking back control. And I wasn't finished yet. The next step in my plan was about to unfold, and it was going to be even more devastating than I had imagined. I could see Marcus's mind working, trying to find the right words, the right angle to make this all go away. But there was no magic fix this time. No empty apologies that could undo the damage he had done. "You think I'm going to walk away from this without consequences?" I asked, my voice a little lower, almost dangerously calm. "You think I'm just going to forgive you and act like everything's okay?" "No, Marcus. You have no idea who you're dealing with." The silence hung heavy in the air, and I could almost feel the weight of his regret. He had no idea how deep I had already gone into my plan for revenge. He probably thought I was just hurt, angry, looking for an outlet. But I had moved past that. I was no longer the naive woman who had believed in a fairy tale love. Now, I was the woman who was going to make him understand exactly what it felt like to lose everything. "I'm done feeling sorry for myself," I continued. "This isn't about healing or moving on. This is about justice. You've taken something from me, and I'm going to make sure you feel the consequences of it." Marcus's face twisted in confusion. "Lauren, what are you talking about?" I didn't answer right away. I just sat there, watching him squirm, feeling the power shifting between us. Finally, I spoke. "I'm not going to make a scene, Marcus. That's not my style. But you'll pay for this. You'll pay for every moment you've made me feel small, for every time you thought I didn't see what was happening right under my nose. And you'll start paying today." I stood up, slipping my phone back into my bag. Marcus reached for my hand, desperation clear in his eyes. "Lauren, please," he begged, his voice cracking. "I made a mistake. I'll do anything. Just don't do this." I pulled my hand away, feeling a strange satisfaction as I looked down at him. "You're not in control here anymore." With those final words, I walked out of the cafe, leaving Marcus behind. As I stepped into the cool air, I took a deep breath, feeling the weight lift from my chest. I didn't know exactly how I was going to make him pay yet, but I had time. And I wasn't about to let him walk away from this without consequences. I thought I had everything figured out. But as I left the cafe, a message popped up on my phone. And this message would change everything. It wasn't from Marcus. It was from Rachel Foster. As I stepped into the brisk air outside the cafe, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't even have to look at it to know who it was. I was expecting a call or a message from Marcus, begging for forgiveness, or maybe even one last attempt at making things right. But it wasn't him. I pulled my phone out, the screen flashing with a message from Rachel Foster. I had almost forgotten about her. Hadn't he expected her to make any move after everything that had happened? But her message was short and direct. "We need to talk. I know what you found. We need to clear the air." "I'm sorry." My heart skipped a beat. I knew it was coming. I had known Rachel wasn't just going to back down, not after everything that had unfolded. She was a part of this mess now, whether she liked it or not. I couldn't help but feel a twisted sense of satisfaction. She had no idea what I was planning. She had no idea how deep this would go. I wasn't just going to let her walk away from this without feeling the heat too. No one, not even her, would get off scot-free. I didn't respond immediately. Instead, I let the message sit there for a few moments as I stood by the curb, the city bustling around me. I could hear the traffic in the distance, the chatter of pedestrians passing by. But in that moment, it felt like everything had gone quiet, like the world was holding its breath, waiting for me to make the next move. I walked to my car and got in, my hands gripping the steering wheel as I stared at the screen. There it was, staring back at me, her apology, her attempt at control. She thought I'd be weak, that I'd let her talk me out of everything. But she was wrong. I wasn't weak anymore. I wasn't the woman who would take the back seat and cry over her boyfriend's betrayal. I wasn't going to beg him to stay. No, I was going to make her face the consequences. Make both of them face the reality they had created. I tapped out a response. "Fine, meet me at the park. We'll talk. But know this, Rachel, nothing you say will make me feel sorry for you." I sent it and drove off, my mind already racing with what came next. This was going to be her moment of truth, a chance for her to explain herself, though I knew there was no way she could justify what had happened. There was no apology big enough to erase the betrayal she had helped Marcus inflict on me. The park was only a few minutes away, a quiet place with enough privacy for our little chat. I arrived first, parking my car near the entrance and sitting there for a moment, collecting my thoughts. This wasn't going to be a conversation where we hugged it out. No, I had a plan, and Rachel was going to play her part in it whether she wanted to or not. As I waited, I allowed myself a moment of reflection. I had always prided myself on being calm under pressure, on keeping control of every situation. But this was something else entirely. This wasn't just about revenge, it was about reclaiming my dignity. It was about reminding myself that I could stand tall, no matter how much they tried to tear me down. The sound of footsteps approaching snapped me out of my thoughts. I turned, seeing Rachel walking toward me, her eyes avoiding mine as she approached. She looked nervous, a little too composed, but I could see the fear beneath her confidence. She stopped a few feet away from me, glancing at the ground before meeting my gaze. "Lauren, I don't know what to say," she stammered. I crossed my arms, raising an eyebrow. "Say what you need to, but don't expect me to believe a word of it." Rachel swallowed hard, stepping closer. I never meant for any of this to happen. Marcus and we didn't plan for it to go this far. I couldn't help but laugh, the sound sharp and bitter. "You didn't plan for it to go this far? You really think I'm going to buy that?" "I swear," she said quickly, "I never meant to hurt you. I didn't know what was going on with you too." I didn't stop. I cut her off. "I'm not here to listen to your excuses. You and Marcus, you both betrayed me. And for what? So you could have a few stolen moments on the side?" Rachel's face went pale as I stepped closer, my voice low and dangerous. "This is where the game changes, Rachel. You have two choices. You can either help me fix the mess you've helped create, or you can leave and pretend none of it ever happened." She looked like she was about to speak again, but I held up my hand, silencing her. "I already know what you're going to say. I've heard it all before, but I want you to understand one thing." I leaned in, my eyes locking with hers. "You're not in control anymore. Not you, not Marcus, not anyone. I'm in control now." Rachel's eyes widened in fear as she realized what I was saying. She understood now that I wasn't just angry, I was calculating, and I was far from done. What happened next was going to be the true test of her loyalty, and I wasn't going to let her or Marcus off easy. Rachel stood frozen, her expression a mix of fear and confusion, her body stiff, as if she was fighting the urge to bolt. I could see her calculating the next words to come out of her mouth, but I wasn't going to give her the chance. I had control of the situation now, and I wasn't about to let her weasel her way out of it. "You're probably wondering why I'm not angry," I said, my voice steady, unwavering. "You think I'm just heartbroken, desperate for some sort of closure. But the truth is, Rachel, I don't care about you. I don't care about Marcus. I care about something far bigger, justice." She blinked, clearly thrown off. I watched her face as it shifted from shock to realization. She knew I wasn't going to go down without a fight. "What do you mean by that?" she asked cautiously, her voice trembling. "What I mean is," I continued, taking a step closer, "you've made your choices, and now you have to deal with the consequences. This isn't just about making you feel guilty. This is about making you understand the damage you've caused." Her shoulders sagged, the weight of my words clearly hitting her. "Please," she whispered. "I never wanted any of this. I didn't know he was engaged to you at first. I swear, I didn't know it was so serious." I stared at her, shaking my head. "That's where you're wrong, Rachel. You did know. You knew the entire time, and you still kept going." She opened her mouth to protest, but I cut her off again. "Save it. I'm not here for your sob story. I'm here to make sure that you understand the consequences of your actions." I could see the panic rising in her eyes as she realized I wasn't going to let her off the hook. What do you want from me?" she asked in a small voice. I took a deep breath, letting the tension build before I answered. "I want you to fix this. I want you to clean up the mess you've made. You're going to be the one to tell Marcus that everything is over, that he's going to have to live with the consequences of his actions. I'm not going to be the one to destroy his world. You're going to be the one to shatter that illusion for him. Do you understand?" Rachel's face drained of color. She looked like she was about to collapse, but she held herself together, a defeated look in her eyes. She didn't speak for a moment. I let her stew in the reality of what I was asking. She had no choice but to comply. "You want me to break up with him?" Her voice was barely above a whisper. I nodded. "Exactly. I want you to tell him it's over. I want you to walk away and leave him with the mess he created. And I want you to make sure he understands what it's like to lose everything. He has no idea what it feels like to be truly alone until now." She looked like she was about to argue, but then, realizing she had no other option, she lowered her gaze. "I'll do it," she said quietly. "But what if he doesn't believe me? Then you'll show him the truth," I replied. "You'll show him everything, all the lies, all the messages, every single thing he thought was hidden. The reality will hit him like a ton of bricks." I could see her tremble, but she nodded. "Okay, I'll do it." "Good," I said, taking a step back. "Now, there's one more thing. Marcus needs to understand that this wasn't just a mistake. It was a choice, and he needs to pay for it." I smiled, my expression cold. "That's not your problem, but you'll be the one to make sure he understands everything. The way he treated me, the way he thought I wouldn't find out, it all ends now." She looked like she wanted to say something else, but she didn't. I turned to walk away, but stopped just before leaving her. I looked back over my shoulder. "One more thing," I said, my voice sharp. "If you think you're going to walk away from this without any consequences, think again. I'll be watching you." Rachel flinched, her eyes widening at my words, but I didn't give her the chance to respond. I turned on my heel and walked away, the weight of what I had just set in motion sinking in. As I got into my car, I couldn't help but feel a twisted sense of satisfaction. The game had just begun, and I was in the driver's seat now. Marcus thought he had control. Rachel thought she had a way out, but they were both wrong. I wasn't done with them. The next day, as I prepared for the fallout, I received a message from Marcus. It was the one thing I hadn't anticipated, a move that would change everything. And once again, I was left with a choice. Was I ready to finally end this, or was I just getting started? The next morning, I woke up to a flood of messages, but it wasn't the usual barrage of texts from friends or family checking in. No, this time, it was from Marcus. "Lauren, I need to see you, please." I couldn't help but feel a slight twinge of amusement. He was panicking, his carefully built world crumbling, and now he wanted to fix it. The same man who had been so calm, so controlled just days ago was now begging for my attention. The moment where everything would either come crashing down or somehow get patched up. I knew Marcus wanted to believe it could all go back to normal, but I wasn't going to give him that luxury. Not after everything he'd done. I decided to meet him at the same park where I had confronted Rachel. I texted back, "I'll meet you in 30 minutes. Don't be late." I didn't know what I was expecting from him. Begging? Tears? Or maybe just the same old empty promises he had made over and over again. I was done being the person who forgave for the sake of peace. When I arrived at the park, Marcus was already waiting by the bench, pacing back and forth, his hands running through his hair nervously. He spotted me the moment I walked in, and his face softened with what could only be described as relief. He probably thought this was his last chance to salvage something from the wreckage he had caused. "Lauren," he breathed, rushing over to me. "Thank God you're here. Please, just let me explain. I've made so many mistakes, but I never meant to hurt you. You have to believe me." I stood still, letting him approach but not giving him the satisfaction of seeing me move toward him. His desperate eyes scanned my face, hoping for some hint of softness, but I remained stoic. "Explain?" I repeated, my voice cold. "There's nothing left to explain, Marcus. You had the chance to be honest with me. You chose lies. You chose her. I know I messed up, but I swear, it was a mistake. I was confused. I didn't know what I wanted." "Really?" I raised an eyebrow. "Because it doesn't sound like a mistake when you've been hiding it for months. And it doesn't sound like confusion when you were planning a future with me while stringing her along." "Tell me, Marcus, how exactly do you explain that?" He opened his mouth, but no words came out. He was searching for an answer, something that would make the situation make sense, but there was nothing. Nothing that could fix the damage. "Lauren," he whispered after a long silence, his voice breaking, "I don't want to lose you. Please, I'll do anything. Just tell me what you want me to do. I'll change. I'll make things right." I stared at him for a moment, feeling the weight of his words settle into the pit of my stomach. I had spent so many nights crying, wondering if I had been the one to mess things up, wondering if I hadn't been good enough, or if my love wasn't enough to keep him from straying. But now, I realized something that made everything fall into place. I wasn't the one who was broken. He was. Then start by letting go. Let go of me. Let go of this idea that you can fix everything with a few words. You can't. And you know what? You don't deserve me. Not after everything you've done. His face twisted in anguish, but I held my ground. He wasn't going to break me. Not this time. I took a step back, looking at him one last time. I don't need you to beg, Marcus. I don't need you to promise me the world. What I need is for you to finally face the truth. You've lost me, and nothing you do will bring me back. I turned to walk away, but I felt a strange sense of closure. For the first time in a long time, I felt free. Free from the lies, free from the hurt, free from the idea that love meant putting up with betrayal. Lauren, he called after me, his voice broken. Please don't leave me. I'll change. I swear I will. I paused for a moment, but I didn't turn around. No, Marcus, you had your chance, and with that, I walked away, leaving him standing there, alone with the mess he had made. That evening, I got a message from Rachel. She had done what I asked. She'd told Marcus it was over. But there was something in her message that made me pause. Something that hinted at another twist in this game I was playing. And this time, I wasn't sure if I was ready for what came next. I had just settled into bed when my phone buzzed. I had expected it to be Marcus, maybe another desperate plea, maybe a final attempt to get me back. But it wasn't him. It was Rachel. I hesitated for a moment before opening her message. I wasn't sure what to expect, but the knot in my stomach told me it wasn't going to be good news. I did what you asked. It's over with Marcus. I told him everything. But I'm scared, Lauren. I think he might do something crazy. I stared at the message, my pulse quickening. Was Rachel being dramatic? Or was there a real threat in Marcus's actions? I had seen the desperation in his eyes, but did he have the capacity to really hurt someone? I thought about everything that had transpired, how he had deceived me, how he had manipulated me, and how now I was left to pick up the pieces. But this felt different. There was a lingering unease in the air that hadn't been there before. I typed a quick reply. What do you mean by crazy? What exactly happened when you told him? Rachel's response came almost instantly. He was furious. He shouted at me, said I ruined everything. Then he got quiet, too quiet. I tried to leave, but he stopped me. He told me I couldn't just walk away like that he would never let me go. I felt a chill run down my spine as I read her words. The way Marcus had acted, the anger, the control, this was no longer just about a broken engagement. This was something deeper, something dangerous. I stared at the screen for a long time, feeling the weight of what Rachel had said sink in. Was Marcus really capable of violence? And if he was, what was I supposed to do next? My phone buzzed again. It was Rachel once more. Lauren, I don't know what to do. I'm scared. He's been calling me nonstop. What if he comes after you? I rubbed my temples, feeling the pressure build. This wasn't how I had imagined it all playing out. I hadn't wanted to feel like this, like I was in danger. I wanted justice. I wanted closure. But now, everything felt out of my control. I had made sure Marcus had known the consequences of his actions, but I had underestimated just how far he would go. Stay safe, Rachel. Don't respond to him. If you think he's a threat, go to the police. I'm handling this from here on out. I'm not afraid of him, and neither should you be. I sent the message and set the phone down on my nightstand. I could feel my heart racing, but I refused to let fear control me. I had been walking away from Marcus all along, and now he was trying to drag me back into his mess. I wasn't going to let him. No, I wasn't scared anymore, but I had to make sure he couldn't hurt anyone else. I couldn't let him destroy what little I had left of my life. The following morning, as I prepared for the day, I received an unexpected call. It wasn't Marcus. It wasn't Rachel. It was someone from Marcus's past, someone I never expected to hear from again. I glanced at the screen. It wasn't Marcus, and it wasn't Rachel. The name flashing across the display caught me off guard. Jordan Clark. I hadn't heard from him in years. He was someone from Marcus's past, a guy who used to work with him back when Marcus was starting his career. I hadn't thought about Jordan in a long time, but I remembered him clearly. He was the one who had warned me about Marcus once. He had hinted at things I didn't want to hear, things I had dismissed as jealousy or bitterness. Now, seeing his name, I wasn't sure if I was ready to hear what he had to say. But I knew one thing for certain. I had to answer. I picked up the phone, pressing it to my ear. Jordan? My voice was steady, but my heart was pounding. Lauren. His voice came through, deep and filled with urgency. I know this is going to sound strange, but you need to listen to me. I know what's going on with Marcus, and you're not safe. I froze, every muscle in my body locking up. What are you talking about? What do you know? Jordan's voice dropped to a whisper. I've been watching Marcus. I didn't want to get involved, but after everything that's happened, I can't stay silent anymore. My mind raced, trying to process his words. Dangerous how? I demanded, my voice shaky. I'm not talking about the usual temper. Marcus has been involved in some shady deals for years, and he's been hiding it from you, keeping things from you that could ruin him. But now he's losing control. He's desperate, and that kind of desperation can lead him to do things you won't expect. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. What kind of things? Things that aren't just about business anymore. I've seen the way he reacts when he's cornered. I know what he's capable of. He's not thinking straight anymore, and he's willing to go to extreme lengths to keep his secrets hidden. I felt my blood run cold. The man I had loved, the man I had believed in, was slipping further into something darker. But it wasn't just about his betrayal anymore. It was about survival. Where is he now? I asked, my voice low. I don't know exactly, but he's probably out looking for you. Jordan replied. I know he's been trying to contact you through other people. He's not going to stop until he feels like he's regained control. You need to get out of there. It's not safe. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I can handle this. Jordan hesitated before speaking again, the weight of his words pressing down on me. I don't think you fully understand, Lauren. Marcus is dangerous. And it's not just because of the affair. It's everything he's done, everything he's hidden. He's playing a game, and you're in the middle of it. But if you keep pushing him, he's going to do whatever it takes to keep his world intact. I clenched my jaw, my mind racing. What should I do? Lay low for now, he said urgently. Stay out of his way, and don't confront him directly. If he knows you're onto him, he'll only get more dangerous. Get yourself somewhere safe, and then make a plan. This isn't going to end with just a few harsh words and a breakup. I could hear the tension in his voice, the fear. I had been so focused on exacting revenge, on confronting Marcus for everything he'd done, but I wasn't prepared for this. I wasn't prepared for the darker side of Marcus, his TIs, his secrets, his unpredictability. I sat on the edge of my bed, feeling the weight of Jordan's warning sink in. It wasn't just about Marcus cheating anymore. It was about survival. And if I was going to get out of this without losing everything, without losing myself, I had to think carefully. As I sat in silence, I realized something important. I had underestimated just how far Marcus was willing to go to protect his secrets. And the real game was just about to begin. What came next wasn't just about breaking free, it was about making sure Marcus paid the price for everything. I didn't sleep much that night. How could I? Every moment felt like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. The sense of dread, the quiet undercurrent of danger, had wrapped itself around me. I couldn't push it aside anymore. The message from Jordan kept replaying in my mind. Marcus is dangerous. I had always known there was something darker lurking beneath the surface of our relationship, but I never imagined it would go this far. I had always thought I was in control. I had believed that the truth would be enough, that once I confronted him, once I exposed his lies, the world would make sense again. But now, I wasn't sure who Marcus truly was anymore. I couldn't stay at home, not after everything that had happened and not after Jordan's warning. So, I packed my things and left. It wasn't that I was running. I wasn't afraid of him, but I had to be smart. I couldn't let him corner me. If Marcus was going to play dirty, I would too. But I needed time to think, time to figure out my next move. I didn't go to a hotel or back to my mother's. I went to the one place where Marcus wouldn't think to look for me, my old friend, Mia's place. We hadn't spoken much in recent years, but she'd always been there when I needed her. She'd known me long before Marcus had come into my life, and I knew I could trust her. I arrived at her apartment just as the sun was setting. Mia opened the door before I even had a chance to knock, her expression shifting from confusion to concern when she saw the state I was in. "Lauren, what's going on?" she asked, pulling me into a tight hug. "I'll explain everything," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "But right now, I just need a place to stay. I need a safe space." Mia didn't hesitate for a second. "Of course, you can stay here as long as you need to." She pulled away, looking me over. "Are you okay? You look, well, you don't look okay." I sighed, feeling the weight of everything crash down on me. "I don't know what to think anymore, Mia. I thought I knew who he was, but now, I'm not sure I ever did." Mia led me to the couch and made me tea, her calm presence a small comfort in the chaos of my mind. As I sat there, sipping the warm tea, I tried to piece everything together. Marcus's betrayal was the spark, but now, there was something darker behind it. He wasn't just a cheater. He was a man hiding a part of himself that I had never seen, a part that scared me. The secrets, the lies, the power plays. "You need to be careful, Lauren," Mia said, breaking the silence. "I don't know what's going on, but whatever it is, it doesn't sound good. If Marcus is as dangerous as you say, he might not stop until he gets what he wants. And right now, it seems like he wants to get you back." I nodded, my hands shaking slightly. "I'm not going back to him, Mia. I can't. But it's more than just a breakup now. He's crossed a line, and I need to make sure he knows that." Mia studied me, her eyes narrowing. "What are you planning?" I took a deep breath. "I don't know yet, but Marcus can't get away with this. I'm not going to let him destroy me. He's going to pay for what he did, for all of it." Mia didn't argue. She just nodded, her expression serious. "I'll help you however I can, but be careful. If Marcus is as dangerous as you say, you need to think this through." "I will," I said, standing up and walking to the window. "I've thought this through more than I ever thought possible, and I'm not going to let him tear me apart anymore." As the night wore on, I started to think about what Marcus had done. He wasn't just some heartless cheater. No, he had gone deeper, played a game with me, with Rachel, with everyone. I knew he would try to get to me. He was too prideful to let go without a fight. The days that followed felt like I was walking through a fog. Marcus didn't give up. Of course he didn't. He was used to getting what he wanted. But this time, I wasn't just his to control. I wasn't going to sit back and let him dictate the terms of this situation. He tried everything: texting, calling, showing up at Mia's apartment, leaving flowers at my door, trying to plead his case. He was desperate, but I didn't respond. Not once. It was taking every ounce of strength I had to not cave in. But I knew, deep down, I couldn't go back. I had to see this through. I had been walking around in a haze of anger and confusion, but as the days passed, something else began to grow inside me: a cold, calculating determination. I was no longer the woman who wanted closure or understanding. I was the woman who wanted justice. And Marcus had made me realize that justice wasn't about forgiveness. It was about ensuring that the truth would be known. Then came the moment I had been waiting for. Rachel. She had kept her distance after our last conversation. But I wasn't done with her either. She was a part of this mess, and she had to be part of the solution. I sent her a message, short, to the point: "Meet me at the park tonight, PM." She responded almost instantly: "I don't know if this is a good idea. I'm still scared of Marcus." I couldn't blame her for that, but I also knew she was the key to ending this. She needed to understand that what happened wasn't just some mistake she could run away from. She had to face the reality of what she had done. "You're not getting away with this, Rachel. Meet me, or I'll make sure everyone knows the truth." She didn't respond for a long time, and I was about to give up when the message finally came through. "Okay, I'll be there." The night was eerily quiet as I waited for her. I had planned every detail. This wasn't just about talking anymore. This was about showing her exactly what her actions had cost me, what it had cost all of us. When Rachel arrived, she looked nervous, but there was also something resigned about her. She had no illusions left. She knew why I was there. "I'm sorry for everything," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "I didn't think it would go this far. I never meant for you to get hurt." I shook my head, my expression hard. "It's too late for apologies. This is beyond that now." She looked at me, confused. "What do you mean?" I took a deep breath. my fingers tightening around the envelope I had brought with me. I want you to go to the police. I want you to tell them everything. About Marcus, about the affair, and about everything you've been hiding. Rachel's eyes widen. What? No, I can't do that. You can and you will, I said, my voice calm but firm. Because if you don't, I'll make sure the world knows. I'll make sure Marcus never gets to bury the truth again. You have a chance to fix this, Rachel. Take it. She hesitated, her eyes darting back and forth as she struggled with the decision. But I could see the shift in her. She knew what I was offering her was the only way out of the mess she had created. The fear in her eyes faded slightly as she realized that I wasn't backing down. Finally, she nodded, her voice small. Okay, I'll do it. I'll tell them everything. Rachel followed through. She went to the police, and Marcus's world came crashing down. The lies he had built, the secrets he had kept, all came to light. The price of his betrayal wasn't just the destruction of our relationship, it was the destruction of everything he had worked to protect. And in the end, as I watched him lose it all, I realized that sometimes justice didn't come from forgiveness. It came from making them feel the weight of their own actions.